Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Week to Warriors. So, this video, for those of you who don't know, Devin Young, didn't sleep for 19 years, had the worst insomnia of anyone on planet Earth. I have a webinar about that. You can check it out. This video isn't about my insomnia, though. This video is about Elliott Hulse. But before I get into that, I just thought of a really funny idea. So, it's kind of funny if you have my sense of humor. So, there was the Me Too movement, which was all about women coming out about sexual assault. And there was the Hollywood Me Too movement, which is about women confessing to doing some pretty not great things to get roles in movies and thinking that that was the same thing as being sexually assaulted, which was kind of confusing. But the other Me Too movement that I'm really interested in, I mean, like, really, like, sexual assault is horrible. I'm not diminishing that for anyone, but like the whole Hollywood thing of like, I had to do X, Y, and Z to be a multi-millionaire. Like, you could have just, I don't know. It's still bad. It's still really bad. It's still like, really. Oh well. This is me, guys. You know, my thoughts, unfiltered. So, the Me Too movement that I'm interested in is the real Me Too movement, which is all the people looking at internet entrepreneurs and saying, you know, me too. Like, I can do that too, and trying to be internet entrepreneurs. So, brings me to Elliott Hulse. Someone who I've looked up to for a long time, been a great, one of the first internet entrepreneur pioneers. I want to share a video on him. So this video is why Elliott Hulse should stop training strongman, especially the way he's doing it. And this isn't particularly, this is not particularly to do with the expression of athleticism and strength that strongman competition is. This is much more to do with the modality of training that is typically used in strongman training and the mentality that strongman training breeds, particularly in the United States, particularly with American strength training systems. So typically, Elliott shared his strongman workouts with us. Typically, his workouts are quite grueling. Does lots of grueling workouts to prepare himself for strongman training. And without getting too into it, just this idea of like doing the grueling workouts to prepare myself is completely counterproductive. It's not how we actually become more athletic. It's not how we become stronger in a maximally effective way. It's not how we keep our hormones in shape. It is just very counterproductive. And in a lot of ways, Elliott has shared with me some of the best training programs I've ever done. The deadlifts and dips and weighted pull-ups and front squats is a program I've taken directly from him. It's an amazing program. I still use it sometimes. Lots of stuff that I've gotten from Elliott has been wonderful. Like his focus on like chains of motion, being like moving your entire body, focusing on movement quality over just ripping heavy weights. All this stuff is very good, but one thing that Elliott has overlooked is, and really something our entire culture has overlooked and something that's just coming to light now, is how strength is actually developed and how we actually avoid long-term injury while strength training. So this recent book by Ben Greenfield talks about it. Pavel's latest book, Kettlebell Axe Training, whatever the name is, talks about it. Talk about it in a 100-year-old book called Super Strength by Alan Calvert. I mean, this is kind of always been on the cutting edge for whatever reason, but for whatever reason, it's never really come to the forefront. And it's this idea that I call apex predator training. It's simply modeling your training after the most dominant creatures on the planet. So a tiger does not work itself out really hard every day. Neither does a cheetah or a hawk or any animal that gets by in its performance does not work itself into a state of exhaustion on a daily basis, or even really ever. I mean, these animals seldom, if ever, exert themselves that much. They have little short bursts of exertion followed by long periods of rest and walking and maybe some play. This is what I have found to produce the best training in myself. When I try to push training, like try to like force adaptation through effort, I always end up hurting my CNS, my endocrine system, my adrenals. Start feeling all out of whack, sleep goes out the window. It's very bad. And my performance goes out the window. I become less lean. My cardio becomes worse, my strength becomes worse, my endurance becomes worse. It's all terrible. But really what works for me is just like walking, lots of walking, very, very select, minimal, conservative 2 exercises, explosive full body training, anti-glycolytic training. Yeah, just doing that, guys. Anti-glycolytic training, full body explosive, working out hard 2, maybe 3 days a week, do live rounds 2, maybe 3 days a week, take plenty of time off, but most of my effort into walking, movement quality, walking on my hands, getting my joints up to speed, having a integrated body that can walk on my hands, walk on all fours, move around, then express itself, doing some nice snatches and stuff, and then do the live rounds, have the technique training. That produces such levels of athleticism that you have no idea. Like, I can outsprint your best sprinters. I can outdistance probably a lot of your best distance runners. I will outperform pretty much all of you, unless you're some serious level athletes. And it's just simply because I've discovered this way of training that works better. I wasn't doing this method of training a year ago. My performance was much worse. You would beat me in a lot of these things. It's not because I'm so great. It's simply because I am training in harmony with my biology. I'm not trying to force adaptation. I'm saying, let me look. Okay, it seems my body needs exercise on a daily basis. It seems that exercise makes me stronger. It seems that all these people are working out far too much and they're injuring themselves. I mean, there's a lot more to it than this, but I basically have noticed that 2 to 3 days a week of explosive training, playfully, is what gives me my best output there. Don't really need more. Pavel's work suggests that more is actually completely destructive to your cells, to your mitochondria, to everything. All this Metcon nonsense, high-intensity interval training, like chasing the burn, really just destroys your body. Destroys your body. It's terrible. Like, Pavel talks about the adrenaline junkie athlete who is always injured, never feels alive except when he's training, and constantly has weird symptoms the doctor can't explain. That's been me a lot of the time. It's probably been you, Elliott. So you want to stop that, and you want to just start doing hyper-conservative modes of training, and then allowing the what the hell effects from the kettlebell to extend to the rest of your body, the rest of your performance, and ultimately viewing competition not as just another day, but as like an expression of health. Like, I go really light most of the time, but then when I compete, I just go all out and I leave it all out and I have endless energy because my body isn't constantly taxed. Whereas all these people, they train to tax their bodies, so they're super taxed on the day of the competition, and what do you do? You're training, you're now competing taxed. I don't train to compete taxed. I train to be the healthiest, strongest I can, and then have as much energy I can for competition. So again, most of my training is walking and very light stuff, a little bit of intense stuff that's very, very, very specific to get me those adaptations I want. Just go check out kettlebell axe training if you want, or Quick and the Dead. My program is an extrapolation of those, but easier, because I think Pavel still has a weird fetish for working out far too much. I think playfulness is the secret to strength. I think strength training should be fun. I think fatigue and glycolysis are the enemy, and I know all this from my own experience. So Elliott, you see this video, think about it, man. Some good stuff, really. Like, I've done all your training programs, hardcore. I wrestle, I do jiu-jitsu. I'm a hardcore dude. I lift boulders. Check out my channel. I lift boulders, man. And the thing that makes me the strongest and able to lift the biggest boulders is just some real conservative, easy, playful kettlebell training with lots of walking on my hands, some mobility stuff just to keep keep all my stuff all loosened up, like some knees over toes stuff or whatever. And then I just do maybe some sprints every now and again, some jumps, lots of walking in the woods over uneven terrain. And I do my jiu-jitsu, and that's what I do, guys. And that's why Elliott should do what I do and not what he does, because I'm awesome and I know what's up. It's nice to let the ego take the reins sometime, just to hear how absurd it sounds, because it's fun. But I do think that on some level. Like, I think that I actually have this really good advice for Elliott. You should take it. But at the same time, I recognize that there's an absurdity to all of this, and me just being like, yo, Elliott, I'll tell you what to do. But I will. And this is all for your benefit as well, because you guys probably watch Elliott and think this training stuff is cool. I've tried all of it. This is what works for me. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Done.